What is a healthy sleep-work balance? This is what we're going to talk about today, and I am pretty sure you are looking for an answer just like everybody else. I got this team because, as always, I'm doing research on the internet about all kinds of topics, trying to read papers, I'm watching documentaries, I'm watching other YouTubers. I try to look at things to see what is the opinions. And when it is about Chinese medicine and Kung Fu, I come across a lot of things which are essentially Western. They talk about Chinese medicine, they talk about Kung Fu, but they're all talking from the perspective of Western science. And today we're going to go a little bit deeper into it and explain to you why Western science doesn't know everything. The point of Chinese medicine is that every human being wants to grow old. And for growing old, you have to turn into a so-called blue zone. We have seen, maybe you haven't, but I hope you did, or maybe you did, and maybe you believe in this, in so-called blue zones as territories on the earth where people apparently become much older than other people. And people are always looking for the perfect medication to grow older, the perfect ingredients in your food and your lifestyle and so on. And if you have all these factors in the right place, then of course, then you grow old. The reality is though that many of these stories, they are myths, they are not really there. I was in a few of these blue zones in the past, and there's also young people dying. There's people getting cancer and so on and so on. A lot of the ingredients that people consider to be very healthy, they are in fact healthy under certain circumstances, and these circumstances are rarely met. So as a result of that, these things are not good. Like for instance, goji berries. Very famous ingredient. A lot of people take goji berries a lot. They're good for your kidneys. They're nothing good for anything else, but only for an aspect of your kidneys. So when you take them, you might also poison your body and you might poison your kidneys. So how to eat them? Well, this is not what the video is all about. Let's go talk about something else. First thing that we have to do is we have to define what sleep actually is about. And this is where it immediately goes wrong. Because sleep within the context of Chinese medicine and sleep in the context of Western medicine, they are not the same. Of course, most of your Chinese medicine doctors, Kung Fu masters or whatever, they talk about sleep in what we can call the ordinary sense. But the whole point of Chinese medicine is to bring you from the ordinary, where everything goes wrong and is entropic and dies, to what is called the specific sense, where you actually become a true person. And a true person doesn't sleep. It is actually always active. It is always comfortable, for the simple reason that life follows the rule of reversed entropy, and this is what we're looking for. In yin-yang theory, sleep is considered a yin stage. At the moment when life is entropic, then life becomes more and more yin. So that means that at the moment when you fall asleep, you actually die a little bit. There's people who have theorized about that. We're not going to go talk about that. You can look into the history of Western esoterics, and also there sleeping is sometimes considered a little death. The orgasm after sex also is considered a little death because people are forced to go to sleep. When people are sick and they're ill, they go to sleep to recover, but they also age faster in the same process. Even though after disease, sometimes people feel much better, but the reality is, of course, that they are aging faster because of the damage done to their body, and they're never really recovering. They're recovering to the point where they can function again, but they do not get whole again, if they ever were. This is then the thing that we have to work with within yin-yang theory. That means that yin is passive, sleeping, death, and yang is that what keeps you alive. So the point is to develop yang and to reduce yin. In Western medicine, sleep is considered to be an important part for recuperation from tiredness, from stress, from disease, and so on and so forth. So sleep as such is therefore a necessity, and there are people who are calculating how much sleep we can do with, and then it is usually considered that 6 to 8 hours sleep is good, even though we know that people who are sleeping 8 hours per day are likely to be more depressed than mentally healthy. When we deprive people from sleep, then usually we deprive people of sleep who are not trained to not sleep. So as a result of that, they get deprivation syndrome, and that means that they start hallucinating, they become crazy and nuts, and they might even kill themselves. They get into mood swings, all kind of stuff, which is definitely not healthy. So not sleeping for most people is not directly an option. But at the moment when we go look for Chinese medicine, then we can see that what we are looking for is the cultivation of yang. The whole Yangshan agenda is actually to cultivate the yang, and as a result of that, therefore reduce the chance to become yin. That means also becoming less sleeping. Because, to be quite frank, many people, they sleep over 1/3 of their life, and that is a lot of time. You are vulnerable when you're sleeping. So by nature, you should not want to sleep. If you feel like sleeping, something must be very wrong with you already, because in nature, sleeping is dangerous. Fishes always sleep half awake. Cats always sleep half awake. Many animals, they sleep half awake. They keep one part of their brain active to pay attention to things. Only we dive away in a dark room, put a blanket over our head, and hide in our nightmares. Then you get dream yoga. You say like, oh, but I'm not sleeping. I'm in my dreams and I'm having all kind of adventures. Wow, great stuff is that. Within this whole Yangshan thing, and especially when we go towards the Nedan and alchemy part, then the opposite of being awake is not sleeping, because that is what it is for Western science. You are either awake or you are sleeping, or you have unconscious. That is also possible. Then something happened which is even more radical than sleep. But just not that. You can go into a coma, and as a result of that, nobody knows whether you're awake or whether you're sleeping. There's all kind of states of mind, of course, but they're all caused by not good situations. So in Wudang culture, especially, this is my specialty, of course, in Wudang culture, Taoism specifically, one of my teachers, he said, okay, you are a lazy person because you sleep every day 6 hours. A good Kung Fu master doesn't sleep more than 2-3 hours. I have been in periods where I was indeed sleeping only 2 hours, but he said a perfect master is not going to sleep at all, for the simple reason that his exercises will keep him awake, and they do not become sleepless. No, they actually become more vital than they ever were before. And that is what I also prove to my students when they come to study Zongmulqigong with me. If they exercise pretty good, and they exercise for 2 to 4 hours a day, then at a certain point they start noticing that they need less sleep. They are more vital, they can do a lot of things, their day is more full, they can fill up their day with all kind of activities that seem to be like, amazing, not possible, superhuman. And you see that in the history of Chinese medicine and in the history of Taoist and Buddhist psychology, both, and spirituality, of course, the same, you see there's always these masters that seem to be endless in their being able to do things, and they seem to never tire. And the answer usually is that because they're dedicated to the case of life. There we are. Wudang Taoism, with the Jingong, with the Tai Chi Chuan, with the Qigong, with the meditation, everything is helping you to get control over your physical structure. If it doesn't happen that you need less sleep, that means that the training is not good, or you're not training enough, or you're training in the wrong way. That is very simple. I had a student once, lovely person, no problem at all. She was great, but at a certain point she started having emotional outbursts, because she was trying to not sleep, because I said that if you train proper, then you will sleep less. The thing is that if you train wrong, that doesn't mean it has to be a big mistake. It can be just a tiny thing. Then you can see that not sleeping is a side effect of training properly. And the time that is coming free, then at that moment can be used for more exercise. And yes, still, every few weeks or months or something, there might be a moment where you need more sleep, because you do collect damage. Everybody does that. There is not an easy universe where nothing happens. What a boring universe that would be. The thing is, one of the basic things that you're learning in Chinese medicine and in Qigong is that you have to develop your Jing. And your Jing is the way how you hold your body together. It's not a substance inside your body. How much everybody wants you to believe that there is a Yin Jing. Sure, that is related to your fertility and so on and so on. This is a vitality that you give away to make other babies. If you steal it from other living beings. Every time when you have an orgasm, you lose it anyway, so no problem. You can try to collect it inside your body, but it is not pure. This is pure as the air, so you have to still refine it. You still have to go through a whole process to do that, and it is not necessary. That's the most important part. By exercising properly, you develop what is called yang, and this yang is supporting the Jing. This Jing is the way how you keep your body coherent. In the process of developing the Jing and letting the Jing flower, you develop Qi. All your actions become more perfect. They become more refined to do the things that you need to do. In the same way, your Shen, your awareness, your alertness also increases so that you can see more refinement as possible. So that means that the Jing process is an ongoing process where all three factors are at work at the same time. But you need to go step by step. You first have to learn how to stand and how to sit. And as a result of that, you can gradually go further and further in that process. You can see from that in the theory of Chinese medicine is that if you need to sleep, the Jing is broken. It says in the Huangyue Jing, in the first chapter, actually it says people actually live, get damaged, get sick and die for the simple reason that they cannot handle their Jing. They allow their Jing to be broken by pursuing pleasures, by following their desires, by being angry, by being emotional, and so on and so on. So the things that everybody likes to do and on which this whole internet is being based, as a result of that, they die and they need sleep to help them to get along to death. That's basically what it is. Your sleeping is helping you to go along to death. Is being in a bed under a nice warm cover comfortable and nice? Yes, it is, of course. But the seduction of it is also very large, because at the moment when you are sleeping, you are covering yourself with warmth, which makes your body dampy, which makes it more difficult to get out of bed in the morning. In the past, people would sleep under a wool blanket, which is much less thick than, for instance, a feather blanket. Feather blankets, great, but way too stuffy. Under a wool blanket, you stay a little bit fresh. Also, what they did, they always had the window open. Nowadays, not always safe, because we live to a large degree in a hazard zone. So that is not anymore an option at this moment until we do something about climate change and pollution. So up to us. The problem is that we are all damaged goods, and this damaged goods, this being damaged goods, is the result of the way how we are being raised. Don't start blaming your parents. Sure, your parents were bad, but it is not just that. It's the whole of our culture, it's the whole of our race, the whole of nature, and so on and so on. Because all the animals die too. They all get sick, they all sleep to a degree, although they sleep maybe less deep than we do, but they do sleep. And as a result of that, they gradually also wind down. But they have a shorter time for winding down because they have to act more to stay alive. In reality, though, we are broken, and it is starting from the moment when we are getting out of the womb and into the world. We're getting torn by the heat, the fire of the air in our body. We are being torn by the hunger that happens to us and the sugar addiction that comes from our mother's breasts, which ties us to our mother. No, it is not her beautiful eyes, it's not her love, it's just the sugar in the milk. Nowadays, when children get a little bit bigger, they get milk made from all kind of artificial materials, but sugar is still the main component, because just like with bees, sugar is an easy and convenient nourishment. Fruits, potatoes, rice, grains, all kinds of things that in Chinese medicine is considered dangerous for your health. Everything that you eat, which actually fills us up, is also the reason why we need to sleep. Should you stop eating all these things? No, not necessarily, but you shouldn't eat them in the way how you eat them right now. There's a training for that, and Taoists are very good in that. And this training, of course, I will put it in the bottom. You can sign up for that. It's not a problem. This is not what this is about, because food is not necessarily the whole solution. Exercise is the solution, and exercise has to help you maintain your body in the right way. And there's a whole program for that, to go through that, to make eventually your need to sleep less more prevalent, and that takes time. So then we go back to Western medicine, because in Western medicine, sleeping and then also in the way how Chinese medicine is being discussed in modern society is in this Western medicine way. They say sleeping is to compensate for the activities of life. So they see sleep as opposite to being awake. While in Chinese medicine, they say being alive is opposite of being body. A stone is a body without life, so it doesn't move. If it moves, it is being moved by an earthquake, or by somebody throwing it into a pond, or by throwing somebody throwing it off a mountain. It is not moving by itself. So this is a very important aspect. The whole point of exercise is to learn to move our body. One very good exercise to start with. You can do this with me. Can you do it with me? This is a very easy one. So let's go to here. At the moment when you're standing here in wide stance, then at that moment, because of standing in the wide stance, learning to stand in the right way, or if you are a little bit handicapped, you can do it in this position, because maybe you're too old or you're not serious about your body or something, you can do it like this, or you can do it just standing like this or like this. There are different kind of ways of standing that can all help you to start developing yourself. But the best is, of course, to stand like this, not like this, like in Shaolin, not like this or anything like that, because that is going to tax your joints and your muscles very much, so that after 40 you're not ready to do any serious exercise anymore. No, just a little bit more than shoulder wide. You're standing like this, your hands are on your thighs. Oh, by the way, this is part of Zhong Hu Qigong. That is the style that I'm talking about. This is what you need to practice to learn to stop sleeping, if you do it right. But at the moment then when you're standing like this, and you stand like this, in the beginning you are only feeling all the troubles that your body already has, and you think like, wow, this is really very hard, and my legs are hurting and my groins are hurting, and you feel all the tensions in your body. Your heart maybe becomes anxious, maybe you start becoming short breath, maybe you even start shaking because your body tries to escape all the tensions. But by continuously relaxing inward, 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 cooling down, warming up, cooling down, warming up, cooling down, gradually you start finding the rhythm of activation and relaxation of your body, because your body does sleep every few minutes. In every small time unit it is going a little bit passive and then a little bit more active again. When you learn to know that rhythm, then at that moment you can use that, and you can enhance that, and you can gradually change the way how your body functions. So how do you practice like this? Well, you can start by just standing for 15 minutes. Don't start for only 5 minutes, because then you haven't done any work yet. 15 minutes. Let's stay like that. At the moment when you're standing like 15 minutes and you have your body proper open, you have your neck long, you have your back long, your weight is downward because of the way how you open your body. And for this, come to the classes to have all the details to try to avoid getting damaged from it. You learn how to sink properly downward on your heels, what Zhuangzi calls heel breathing. Because this is where the Jing starts. The Jing starts at the bottom of your feet and it goes up into your body, and it has to carry your whole body. When you do Tai Chi Chuan, also the same is being used, and your whole body is moving from that principle. It's coordinated in the Dantian, of course. Very simple. But at the moment when you learn how to stand like that, you gradually find peace inside yourself. You find clarity inside yourself. You start being able to notice things inside yourself, and therefore you can recognize what is yang, what is yin. And at the moment when you recognize something as being yin, that means at that moment it is the condensing of your body. Your body is condensing, becoming more firm on the inside. It doesn't fall asleep. Yes, this firming on the inside, this is what generates the yang. The more firm your body is on the inside, the more yang it becomes. Oh, and yes, you see people with a lot of muscles, that's not firm. That's just water, blood, and damp, phlegm maybe even. So that is not going to be very useful too. So the yang, because of the activity that you have, gradually creates yin, right? It doesn't create sleep, it creates yin. So as a result of that, you gradually strengthen your body. That's a process that goes over years. So it is not like, okay, I go to the gym, I go exercise this exercise, within 2 months I'm going to be top of the hill. No, after about 2 months you start noticing there are changes. You already start having some changes very fast, but it is not necessarily what you're looking for. It can take a few years before you're ready to get to the point to make the next transition. The learning process for the Zhong Hu Qigong is very slow, and in the beginning, if you can stand 30 minutes, that's great. But that is just the beginning. So from 15 minutes, take every week 5 more minutes. Don't take a break in between and then continue, or at least make sure that you use the whole full time to practice and just only relax yourself a bit, but you have to understand that every action that you perform actually teaches your body something. Every break that you take, every time that you need to rest, you teach your body that being passive and weak is great, right? The whole point of the whole Kung Fu process, that Zhong Qigong, Jing Gong, Qigong, all these kind of things, the whole essence of it is that you learn to be strong without using excessive power, right? This is where they say you have to learn to relax, you have to learn to give in, you have to learn to activate what is called Yuan Yang, Yuan Jing, Yuan Shen, Yuan Qi. All these kind of things, they have to be developed because these are the seeds of your future immortality. Not an easy thing to talk about. Let me hear what you think about it. Is sleeping that important to you that you are willing to die for it? Or do you prefer to be alive? Because that is basically what it is. People are continuously in doubt. Should I live? Should I die? In the end, people stay somewhere in the middle. They are neither dying nor living, and gradually over time the process of being alive becomes more and more hard because they created more problems, more friction, more emotional hardship. They have grief, they have regret, they have pains, they have fears, they have anger. They become bitter, old, wrinkled people. When you don't like that process, just sign up with me. I'll help you find a program that you can get into to make sure that you can maintain your youth and your development in the way how you would prefer to have it. That doesn't mean that you're not going to die, but you might die under better circumstances. Everybody has already preconditioned circumstances which help or do not help, right? At the moment when the body is in a very negative state, so to say, you will need a lot longer time to get things undone. But with a little bit of discipline, you can get done everything. And I do know these kind of things. It is difficult to be disciplined sometimes. It is difficult to keep on doing things 7 days a week. Everybody wants to have a free day and be off the hook. They want to drink some wine, they want to drink some lemonades or sodas. They want to have a day where they can just do whatever they want, because otherwise life is so boring. No, the excitement is in being alive. Being alive is amazing. And you only know that when you have been not alive. So this is how it is. So in the process of meditation, you go deeper and deeper and deeper into yourself, and in the development of this young inside yourself, you go deeper and deeper inside yourself, so that you come as close to death as you can be. You need some guidance in some cases, because some of you are really nuts and you will go over the edge and then you're gone. You practiced all the time for nothing. This is the story of alchemy. The story of alchemy is about the failures who didn't make it because they made mistakes. Alchemy is also about a theoretical framework that says this is what you need to achieve, but how to achieve it, that is a difficult process. Although there are some stepping stones that are proven, and they don't need Western medicine to be proven and to be effective. In fact, the Western medicine and the Western biology ideas, they actually undo the work of the ancient alchemists. So if you are really interested, don't talk about energy or anything like that. Just come to hear me out and try to get a good grip of yourself by practicing for a year. If it doesn't work, well, the other thing didn't work also. So no problem. Don't feel great, be great.